choice of an apple or raspberry and custard pie for just $4.
Whoo! Whoo! I mean, the first game was just so like bam, bam, bam. It was going one way and then boom, the other, and it just kind of never stopped. Just before we get into this, some musical theory. There's a thing called the shepherd tone, which is that thing where it sounds like the octaves and the notes are just constantly rising. It goes on and on forever. That's what that game was.
Yes.
And you watch it for
Okay.
and like 15 minutes, and you're like, why am I so tense?
Yes.
Like everything is just like, eh. And I realized it's because that game was just this slow twist the whole time till the very end.
I've never heard it called that, but you just blew my mind because that's like exactly it. Like this is a series, right? The fact that it's now 1-1 and it's a best of
we're
three.
going to 5.
And
We're
it's
going
just
5.
like, and the games have been just completely nuts. That was like a TP backdoor end
Yeah.
while the Morgana is just like, please let me stop your recalls running into the jungle. Like this is just nuts.
Yeah, and I honestly couldn't happen against a better team from my perspective because I have nothing I've said this so many times, but Direwolves came into the Oceanic Esports system. They get the high performance center. They have a separate training area. They bring back Shermfire. Curtis, in my opinion, was the start of the coaches of the OPL. He took the role much more serious than other people. So this is just a battle on and off the riff. I think, definitely got the better of Order in the Game 1 draft. I think Order's Game 2 draft was really, really good because they removed Raze on Engage. And he is such a weapon in that role. And this time around on Olaf, did not have the impact. But then you have players like, Katsuri, just has had a good season, don't get me wrong. But on the biggest stage is now gone nearly deathless in 2 games.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say not stepping up. I'm just like, what?
No,
Yeah.
the absolute opposite.
Yeah.
This kid out of nowhere, this is his first split of the OPL. Has gone from had a rough game 1, but then got a pentakill in his first ever OPL game.
Yeah, in the week. Yeah.
Into this is just terrific laning phase, terrific mid game, terrific team fighting. What a weapon as an AD carry to have.
Yeah, because the consistent thing for both of these two games is in first game, Order commit all of Jarvan's resources to try and get Dream and Jake ahead, and then after a single fight, Katsuri is just 3-0 chilling there with a 20 CS lead, and then this time is a similar sort of thing but flipped, and he's just monstrously ahead, and eventually you're getting to that point where Dream is just level 18 Tristana. Pulse is just name dropping whatever the hell the passive is called because he's the only guy in the world that knows that one. But it's you get to that point and it's really good. But I think you mentioned on and off the rift. This is really interesting. Draft styles coming in because it's this game was more akin to what we've seen from Order with the GP top. They've played these scaling a lot more majors in the last couple of weeks in the OPL. Whereas Direwolves are just 9.16. Who cares? We're just playing the same old stuff. We've been practicing this for now a couple of weeks. Let's not crap our pants because we get to Gauntlet and the games have elevated, whereas Order have done the hard switch and it's so stylistic, whereas Order are trying different things. First game unsuccessful, second game looks the goods, whereas Direwolves, they're just slow and steady. Yes, they're flexing their roster, Totoro comes in, but they're just playing standard stuff, and it's just who wins?
And I obviously have watched all of the Order versus Direwolves games and a lot of Direwolves games recently. And the reality of the situation is we could not roll into this week with the same stuff we've been using for weeks before because they had proven that they were the better team when we clashed with those styles.
Yeah.
And we tried to throw Sully at them in one game and tried to play that style. And I think that game was the best game that we had against them. And now we're trying to emulate that with obviously Spooks. But this is one of those games where Sharp kind of called it out in the interview. We had to make the hard swap. He knew how we drafted. He felt like he had a good game plan going into that. And with these 2 close games, you can see that, Order needs every little bit of edge, every little bit of coaching review, everything like that to be able to get it over the line because, they've both been really, really close. And just a random aside.
Please, that's what I'm all about.
That as soon as Direwolves had a good early game, they would get double Infernal Dragon. And lo and behold, Riot Games, Direwolves have a good early game.
It was Mountain
and
Infernal.
they get double Infernal Dragon. I don't want to hear it, Bryce. That's some class bullshit.
Dream had a bit of a rough game for the first one.
Yep.
Slower start for this one. Does an ending like this, as a pro player, Bryce, does this give the boost that he might need heading into game 3? Because he basically
Yes
saves
and
the
no.
game.
Yes and no, because I think what's happening with Order's bottom lane that is setting them behind is they're trying to do everything.
Yeah.
Spooks is like, oh, Tally's getting dove. I need to go topside, and like we're looking to defend this dive. And so you have Order as a team floating up to Tally. Voice break, lol. And Dream is just like, Dream and Jake are like, no, let's outplay the dive. 4v2, let's go. And then they get put like significantly far behind, and it's impossible to play the game like from the... It took level 18 hitting for him to be like the Tristana that you expected. So this is like, yes, that would give him tons of confidence. But is it confidence that he needs?
Yep.
I don't know. Like, does this push it over like, yes, I'm going to take everything the same thing? I don't know him well enough to make that call personally.
Yeah, and I think like the big thing for me is that this is just coming down to a team game. And you saw in a lot of those team fights, it was just like how the team stacked up to each other. When Swiffer goes for the 10 out of 10 play, he dies, Direwolves get Baron. When Dream goes for the 10 out of 10 play, maybe takes a recall he shouldn't, they have to fight a 4v5 in the jungle, and Direwolves win the fight there as well. So I think this is just like, Order just needs to be at the right place at the right time. Direwolves are a team that will fight you, and then it's just, you handshake the fight. And I don't understand why, when you have people like Tally, like Swiffer, like Dream, you wouldn't be happy handshaking that fight, because, that's one of those things where you have to be confident in yourself that if both of these teams run 5v5 at each other and you toss the coin, as Simon likes to say, 7 times over one game, so 35 games over a series, you just get, 18 of them.
You just see what happens.
It's just what you do. You just toss the coin a couple of times.
It looks like Dial was taking blue side for the next game.
Blue side, very important.
Yep. Felt like the call that they were going to make. And then no subs as well. So same rosters we're going to see heading into this one. You say, yep. Why?
I think that's
why
the
so
expected
agreed?
outcome. Like Corporal gets a game at the start of the series. If Totoro loses another one, then maybe you bring him back in. But like Pulse kind of said it when like Totoro has been the support for the entire split, and Corporal joined for like a couple of games. I wouldn't necessarily expect to see him for the rest of the series. He played well in how he did, but the Direwolves that have looked the best in the regular season for me is Raze on proactive stuff, and Totoro always being there. I think about like Flash Northhawks catching an Ari mid-dash, like he has star power, and maybe on the Braum you might not see it, but on a different champion, a different game, he could be the factor here for Direwolves.
In saying that, his last 4 games have been Braum. And up until this one, they had been wins, and they had been 2v2 killing everyone. So I think his Braum's like nasty. I'll put some research out there. When I was looking at this guy, I was like, Braum is his best champion. Like, this is really, really...
Yeah.
And, he had a good game, in my opinion. Like, so many of those team fights, that last team fight, once again, Korean and English-speaking bottom lane, he's communicating his cooldown so they can stealth forward and get the shield up at the same time. He's staying ahead of the Kaiser and like just giving her free reign to be able to take over the back end of that team fight. One more W lands, one more isolated Q. That team fight's a wash. Direwolves win that game. So certainly think Katsuri and Totoro are a very fearsome duo.
Well, that's good to know. We'll be seeing more of them in the next game. We're heading into game 3. There will be a game 4, but I need you to settle in, ladies and gentlemen, because there's definitely going to be a game 5. Just feels like that.
Yeah,
today.
it really
It just
does.
feels like
I
it's a
don't know
game
if I
5.
could take it. I'm not going to be here for game
I don't know
5.
if I can take it. I don't even have any skin in the game. 2 gentlemen who do. It's Rusty and Pulse, and they're in the Macca's Champ Select.
Thank you. Getting straight into it. Yeah, getting into this game 3 as well. Order on blue side?
Yep.
Order
No,
on blue
Direwolves blue side.
Direwolves
They chose
blue
blue.
side. Okay. Yeah, I mean, basically back to even right here. That game could have literally gone either way, and I feel like now that's happening in game 2, we're probably going to have very similar games for the rest of the series, to be honest. Like, you don't really expect it to just be a whitewash either way now.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Blue side's a very big deal. And just one quick hit as well on something that Spawn mentioned about the communication abilities of Katsuri and Totoro. I actually played basketball with the Direwolves guys, and I feel comfortable
really?
in saying that Totoro can speak English quite well.
Okay.
So I'm not too surprised to hear that his communication is very good. And I don't mean like an English League of Legends hybrid. I mean, we played basketball, and like we were communicating. So I'm not too worried
Did
about
he only
that.
communicate in league terms while playing basketball?
Ganking. No, he was speaking English. He's pretty much fluent. We're into the third draft now. And this is a must-win game for both, obviously. It's Gauntlet. It's an elimination round as well, but Order feeling confident after the last win, maybe because they won, they're feeling more confident. But I don't think that game was a momentum builder. I think it was just a sigh of relief.
Yes. I honestly could not put that better. It really was a sigh of relief for sure. Like, that was so close to being a 0-2 and then a potential like reverse sweep situation if you want to try and win this series, right? So big deal being able to reset that on too neutral. We're going to hit the band once again, very similar, to be honest, to Game 2 here from Direwolves. It's going to be the GP, which is the change here, along with Morgana and also the Kiana. Order going to be banning away the Xayah, Gragas, and Silas.
And I don't think I would ever have seen that from Order in my life. They have actively chosen to ban the Xayah away when they are the Xayah Rakan team of the OPL. But when you think back to the first game of the series, it was a high priority for Direwolves. They would have first picked the Xayah instead of the Sejuani. And so I like this from Order. In a way, it's forcing Direwolves to show something. You know, if they choose to show the Sejuani here, champion has counters. You can pick champions into it and you could be okay. You know, this potentially is going to be one of those here from Order, because they've locked in the Karthus in their first two to go with the Braum that has been taken away from Totoro.
Yeah, first picking that Sedge. I'm going to have a Karthus coming in as well. Interesting from Order. Of course, this is definitely not new for Order.
No, it puts a clock on the game pretty much already, though, right? Like, you've got the jungle roles. One's engaged, one's about dealing damage. Some of the really good things this provides for Order is that you could go a heavy physical damage top laner or mid laner to compensate for having the Karthus. One of the concerns you would have is that Kiana and Gangplank are banned. So it really does make you wonder the direction they'll choose to go with their physical champion and what exactly it will be. Mid lane is basically just Talons and Yasuo, but because your jungler's a Karthus, you're not probably going to go towards the Yasuo. So most likely Tally picking an Aatrox or a Renekton is what I would expect to see from them.
Makes sense to me. Get back opting towards, I mean, it could be Biopumper, that being said, right? Akali being picked up here by the Direwolves. Big fan of the Irelia performance in Game 1. Would love to see Get Back move back towards that with it not being banned, especially with the Sejuani first pick. But Akali will be the early pick of choice. Good chance to Order now look towards the Irelia as a ban here now. That being said, Renekton also up as well. We'll see. Lissandra was also locked in once again by Swiffer. Yuumi ban, okay. Obviously Lucian already picked up, so want to remove that other half of that duo. Very strong bottom lane here.
Yeah, Yuumi Lucian, very frustrating if you're a Braum. Even though we are 9-16 and Yuumi has seen some nerfs, still a big nuisance for a support for a melee champion. Just get harassed constantly. See where they go from this point as well. Lux sees some touch-ups, some buffs on this patch, but I don't think it has been drastic enough to force her back into being priority in the meta, but can always be picked if your goal is to just outrange and outlast your opponents.
Absolutely. Aatrox ban, no real surprise. Definitely Order looking towards a AD top lane, as you're already alluding to. So GP and Aatrox taken off the board here. Order, I would imagine, like my guess would be Irelia ban here, we'll see.
Yeah, if you ban away the Irelia and say Direwolves ban the Renekton as well, I do wonder where you would go.
If you're Order, yeah,
for a physical top lane. I'm sure like there's a million options. The most likely like damage type in that lane would be physical, but it's pinching the champion pool quite significantly. However, of all people to pinch a champion pool, on Tally is not one of them you want to contend with. While the bans will be no surprises in the way that Order have drafted themselves, there's still a chance they leave their top lane for last pick. It's just just go hard on a counter up there instead.
I guess my problem is, it's like, do you lock in Irelia here for top lane, or do you just leave it open now for Direwolves?
I think you leave it open to counter it.
Yeah, right. So yeah, because that was a Renekton final ban here from Direwolves. Order, yeah, looks like they will just leave that for their last pick, and it will be Tristana once again here.
Yep. Tristana into the Lucian this time, however, and not knowing what support it will be. Confident that the Trist Braum can weather anything. Ezreal has seen some nerfs, and this would be very interesting. Yeah, not just locked in, the Sushi secured. It's one of those lanes now, Lucian Nami is actually very strong, but it's also something that Order is entirely comfortable and familiar with. They know full well how this lane operates.
And Corki locked in, okay. Yeah, so that will go into the top lane, and we will have the Akali mid lane, more than likely, depending on matchup and depending what this final pick is, the classic Wukong hover we've seen from Game 1 and Game 2.
It's actually, yeah, it's going to be Corki mid lane into the Lissandra you would expect. Corki is one of the conventional, you know, while Lissandra was meta before counters.
Oh, sure, yeah, Lissandra in the game, yeah. Is it just Gnar? Probably front
Yeah.
line. Yeah, and Gnar will be locked in.
That's actually a really good choice for them as well. May not have the best, say, level 2 in the game when Akali can mess around with her passive and have the Shroud up, but in saying that it is a good physical damage champion, can build full AD if you would like as well, depending on the game state, and also provides that team fighting prowess that Order have shown to be a very high priority in this best of 5 already. They had the likes of the Rakan in the first game. They've gone for the Braum in this one with a Gnar to round it out. Lissandra constantly engaging as well. Plenty of tools in the shed there for Order to make what happens on their own volition. Side of Direwolves is a bit more about whittling down your opponents. You've got a big Sejuani, of course, that can stand in the front lines, but Fire Panther sitting on the side lanes, get back wanting to find the Lissandra matchup as well to harass and poke them down. And then Nami to just slowly whittle down the health bars of your opponents. Win the prolonged, very much protracted trades that will continue to happen. And a control chaos is what Direwolves are after.
Yeah, for sure. Single Lissandra again here from Order, along with the Tristana. So 2 for 2 on this one. And I definitely did like it. Obviously, it was a big factor going into those late game team fights here for Order. Definitely gave some late game insurance and was obviously the pick the end of the game as well. So I was also there from Dream. And yeah, in the end, it was just not going into the top pins. That would be in the 1 vs 1 into the Akali matchup. And then you've always got the classic Egg Timer Karthus in the jungle.
Yeah. The thing that Order do, I would say better than any other team in the OPL with this Karthus as well, is they recognize when it's been attacked and they change their game. They switch up the battle plan to continue to play to their win conditions, right? So think back to the Chiefs game, Chiefs versus Order in Week 10. It was a Xin Zhao counter. It was something that went very hard in the direction of keep Spooks down. If the Karthus is down, we win the game. But that wasn't possible because their mid laner, Swiffer, became the jungler. And Spooks just started taking waves, taking camps, and meanwhile Swiffer was on a merry journey around the rift trying to make picks happen. And it was successful. Order find what they're after, and that's something that the experience and the calm, measured reactions of the jungle and mid laner of Spooks and Swiffer can achieve. It's not that funny.
The old duo of OCE.
Slow pan away. What a nuisance.
I saw that slight grin from Get Back. Yeah, Jake moving towards mid. Just seeing if anything's going to happen. But essentially just both teams fanning out here. Going to have no level 1 shenanigans.
No big level 1 plays. And not just fan, but like super standard. No vision even being placed just yet. You can see a single ward from Direwolves near the Raptors to explore where their opponents are. And look at the way that Raze is currently positioned as well. Most likely going to start the blue buff, but there's a chance he pivots and goes to the red if Order choose to late invade, which is what you would expect. Because in League of Legends, having a Braum usually means you can win the level 1. And so they are going to late invade. They have been seen, even though this sweeper makes them believe that they haven't. And most likely you would see Raze go from blue buff to enemy red.
Yeah. That was a really nice heads-up ward to begin the game here. So bottom lane will be here first from Direwolves, and now seeing Order stream into this bottom lane.
Fully aware. And now, of course, there is a ward placed by Swiffer at the Raptor camp on his side of the map that has been placed entirely just to spot Raze and ensure that that's where he is, and also protects his backside.
Yeah.
This type of vertical jungle that has been forced by Order, and I definitely say forced because it's a late invade, so you want to give as little notice to your opponents as possible, is a pretty surefire way to make sure that a Karthus gets farm and can't be attacked, right? Raze now, he's going to clear the ward, but during all of the time where he's doing this, a Karthus is farming. I mean, that means a Karthus is happy, right? Gets his money, gets his items, just finds pure happiness. This is like the first time I think we've seen Spooks play Karthus and not just be attacked.
That's actually true, yeah. Yeah, I do think back to that game you already referenced, the one who was just like level 2.
Happened in the AV
like
one as well.
5.
It was 2 levels down in the game that they did eventually also win.
Gonna get the harass down here. We'll get the stun. Or
Jake.
not, actually. Jake just tanks multiple tower shots, expecting Dream to get that auto off onto Totoro. 3 out of 4 procs and didn't quite get it. So, yeah, almost just dropping to tower aggro alone there.
Yeah, thankfully no Ignite, of course, on the side of Direwolves. It is a heal for Totoro that he didn't have to use. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a Summoner Spell trade. But you take the heal for the flash trade, even if it wasn't necessary. It's just, yeah, one too many tower shots has been tanked there. And Raze now on the top side of the map. Should be very much aware, Tally. All it takes is the assumed knowledge, and Karthus showing bot side to say he wants to make a play somewhere. So respectfully is the name of the game here for the Nah.
What I never understood is why we called it vertical jungling, because technically the rift is a diagonal line, so it's as vertical as it is horizontal.
Well, yeah, I mean, the term vertical jungling to me is like, it's just
Like, I get it.
a phrase that we kind of ran with. It's actually a handshake, which is really what we
Yeah,
call
yeah,
it.
yeah. But vertical would refer to like the direction you're going.
Well, I mean, it is diagonal, right? But
Yeah.
it is vertical
So
jungling
it's diagonal jungling.
because there's no crossing.
I say we rename it, to be honest.
It's handshake jungling. It's
Factually
okay, it
incorrect.
has been named. It's a handshake.
Okay, I can get down with that.
It's not a handshake if the person who late invades, say the Karthus, went
Yes.
from red to red, right?
Right,
Because then he
right.
crosses and he's being a
Well,
rude boy.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that would be vertical jungling, right? Because
That is vertical
Yeah, that's,
jungling,
yeah,
yes.
but that's not what it's called. I'm just saying, whoever made up these terms, casters, just got it wrong. Mid lane,
I'll call him out. Who is it?
I don't know who cares, because this is years old.
Because maybe it actually came from them being correct and we all took it wrong. Like maybe it was red to
Oh,
red.
maybe.
Right?
But this is going back to like season 3 or 4. Like, who do you pin the blame on? I don't know. I don't have those names.
Spawn.
Spawn will have those names.
He's been around for years.
Maybe he was part of the problem. How are we doing in terms of lane? Everyone is basically perfect, even CS. Top lane Bad Panther just got the electrocute proc though. Spooks is on his way to the top lane. Misses the wall of pain. So Bad Panther is going to experience some of said pain, but not all that much. Will not have to burn a flash, and this will just be Spooks pushing in this way, being an annoyance, and letting this not pick up the rest of CS as he will go back to base.
Yep. Barring the wall of shame that we saw from Spooks, it doesn't matter too much because his goal was still achieved. Pushing, allow the reset, allow the recall, more importantly, from Tally. Get that first purchase in. And with those Merc Treads, very difficult to kill, especially for a Sejuani that wanted to perhaps go to that lane. And, you know, that was the assumed knowledge that Order may have been working with. But in saying that, he has gone back to his Krugs. And it seems like a hard farm for 6 being matched from both junglers. I think Spooks also bleached a whole lot of experience
In top lane.
from lanes.
Yeah.
Not just in top lane, but like it's 5 to what is now 5. Swiffer.
Yeah,
Hey,
he
buddy.
has found Raze, but it might be the other way around now, as he will back away, get hit by the Arctic Assault, but Katsura is here. He was ready for that claw jump. Swiffer uses the ultimate on himself, goes into the refrigerator. Now backing away, flashes behind Jake's shield, and they will be good to go now. Everybody find themselves in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Karthus is farming on the opposite side of the map. Not level 6 just yet, so his influence on it is non-existent. And Swiffer doesn't have the teleport, doesn't have the flash, will have to walk back to his lane and think about what he's done. What he did do is he found the Sejuani. He disabled any opportunity for that Sejuani to be invisible, make the plays, and they also scattered the experience level of that Sej. Knowing that Spooks now has a level advantage, they may actually try and make some forward plays on the map, and right now it does look like a potential invade on the blue.
Yeah, Get Back got a lot of time in mid lane now to start taking these plays, so we'll get this first. And that will be Blue Buff going over to Direwolves here. Spooks was on top side of the map. And now, Tally actually playing quite respectful in the top lane.
Well,
Level
it's not
6 has
just-
just been hit.
It's not just Spooks on this side of the map, it was Sejuani that he saw at the blue buff. By seeing that Sejuani, very much aware that, you know, Spooks is playing away from him. So with the information that he has, he just thinks that Sejuani's there at any moment. You know, he can't clear the control wall that's in the bush just below him either. That's not safe.
Yeah, now also in mini form at very low rage into a Kali level 6 burst. Quite squishy.
Is that little demon Tristana?
I think so,
It's the one that won the vote competition, I believe.
Oh, is that... I did not know the etymology of that skin.
I voted for it.
Well, congratulations. You know, there was also I think that's like the second time a vote happened, right? 'Cause
There was
the first
an
one was
Alawi
the
one.
Alawi one.
Yeah.
Of which the Alawi community, very annoyed by the way,
You know
because
which
apparently
one,
statistically everyone voted for Battlecast, but
You know
us
who
in
I
the
voted
in the high society of Alawi players all picked the space one. So we were very sad. Oh, Totoro getting
Big fight
flipped by
bottom.
this Q. Still doesn't get the stun. Actually, Dream jumps all the way in.
Karthus
Here
ult.
comes the Karthus ultimate. It's going to be a lot of damage onto Totoro. Actually, just straight finishes them
Teleports
off right
everywhere.
here. First blood to the Carthus. Katsuri has finished off as well. Great ultimate, puts the shot in from Dream. Biopanther tries to connect right here, gets the perfect execution, flips all the way back, and Jake also gets cleaned up. This is messy. A 2 for 2, all in all.
And realistically, it's just the teleport advantage that is there for Direwolves that allows them to trade back. But it's a trade back where Order are winning the 2v2. That's Dream and Jake, confidence plays. They hit the Q, they go on the Nami, and they're able to lock her down. You see it here, the Q stun auto range as well, brilliantly done there. And because Jake's door on Braum instantly absorbs the stun, no chance of it hitting Dream. So he's able to jump forwards, another Q connect, but by the time they'd hit that, teleports had arrived. 3 members of Direwolves show up, the cavalry's here, and they're able to get those return kills.
Yeah, we also saw Gnar also get involved in that fight, just kind of like appeared on the backside of that as we were focusing on that tower, and got hit, left, went back to top lane. And yeah, we're now at 2 for 2. It's really just where those kills landed, and one went mid and one went top.
This wave timing from Biopanther is actually really important. He collects the wave. That was Spooks farming it up in that lane. You know, his contribution to the fight is pressing R.
Yeah, and farm top.
He's feeling real good about himself for that. And yeah, all of the resources belong to him.
As is the Carthus as well.
As a composition with a Carthus should be happy to do. If you want to win the game, you make sure your magic damage is popping.
And now we're back into these laning situations. Biopanther, as you said, managed to pick up that essentially entire wave, so that's going to put him ahead now of Tally when they were both equal CS before that teleport.
It's one of those, yeah, you kind of, in a funnel comp, you know, you look at the gold of the supports. At this moment, I think we look at the jungle top lane duos and their gold differences, and I think that's where we, like, I mean, that's where the gold went, right?
Yep.
The difference between
Literally
junglers.
transplanted from top to jungle.
The fact that bot lane is doing well, however, or at least is mostly even for Dream, is still a benefit for them. That's physical damage into the mix as well. Very important.
Absolutely.
Means that a Sejuani, who is a dedicated tank, can't build a single form of resistance. And it means that the carries don't have to build a single type of boot to have a relevant resistance.
Also went for magic boot there in the bottom lane. Katsuri with the inspiration secondary, so it now has his slight magical boots. Going to be Carthus Ultimate once again in the bottom lane, collects the kill on Katsuri, jumps in. Dream does not get the reset though, and he goes into his own stopwatch. Jake steps in front of him to tank a tower shot. Totoro with the heal, he dies, turns around, Aqua Prison to zone. And it turns into a 1-for-1.
There's too many awkward moments when no one was doing anything. Totoro, unfortunately for the side of Order, lives. Now they've got Raze coming down to the bottom lane to look for the kill onto Dream. They will be able to find that one, but at the same time, the Dragon has been secured. 2 players in 2 different places, and it feels like it's just a trade in the end.
Yeah, real unfortunate, but great timing and just overall play there from Totoro. Timing the stopwatch, doesn't get a reset there from Dream to jump out, forces his stopwatch. Jake is then forced to go in and tank a tower shot. He dies. And after all of that, it's a 1-for-1.
The difference still belongs to the AD carry role, though. Note that during all of these trades, there's no kills going over to Katsuri, no experience going over to Katsuri as well, as he keeps dying with minions crashing towards his turret, or with Order having the flow of the wave. So, at the end of the day, it's still not too ideal to be this Lucian. He is now 0-2-3, farming fine. Katsuri, and does his job no matter what it seems like as the young upstart of the Direwolves, but not the best of games.
Yeah, it's also difficult when, you know, you just have to minus 250 health from your health bar when there's a Carthus on the Rift.
Yeah.
But those ultimates have affected bottom lane, so a little bit awkward. He's now 2-0-1 that Carthus. There's actually the Wall of Pain. See if there's anyone there. He's now going to spot the
They are
Sejuani.
Collapsing onto him. He may have to flash.
Almost
By may, I
certainly.
mean he is going to flash.
Yep.
They just want to bait it out, and there we go.
Yeah. Trying to zone those apes away, but they just kept on coming.
And there's just too many of them. They've multiplied. They're hitting the Rift Herald. Order very much aware of it, as you can see. Dream just around the corner, and Tally running as he has no teleport. This seems like they want to take the fight. For me, eyes are on Swiffer. Can he get an engage off?
This is a literal 5 versus 5. Swiffer jumps in, gets knocked back, sees Seed, goes into the ice cooler. Herald is smited down by the Sejuani. Order trying to control this one, but Carthus cops the ultimate once again. Tally gets a nice knockback onto Katsuri, and it will be the double kill over to the Carthus. And Order just run down the rest of the Direwolves. Not a single casualty on their side. Raise over the wall. Swiffer wants him. He swaps
Oh, he's back
positions,
into the mix.
but now he's in the middle
He got
of
it.
everybody. He just managed to pick up the Herald. Spooks is happy with that one, but there will be 4 deaths on the side of the Direwolf.
You'd want to see a grin on Spooks' face. He just picked up 4 kills for himself. 601 is the Karthus. A 600
he got
gold
every
bounty.
single
Yep,
one of those.
He got every single one of those. Every kill that happened, Spooks is just a giant hoover.
He's actually just so
He's
happy.
just a big old black hole right now of a vacuum. He's just absorbing everything that is on the map into his own body. And sooner or later, he's going to press R, and someone's going to die to just the R button. That's where we're at.
Yep, when you're 6-0 to start, has picked up the Oblivion Orb as well. Plus, so he has double Spell Pen at this point in time. Like, you're getting maximum damage out from the ultimate. If anyone doesn't have magic resist, you're cutting through and dealing essentially true damage.
Yeah,
with
he's doing
Requiem.
true damage. All he needs is level 11,
Yep.
really. And then he's just...
Of which I'd assume he's very close to. FYI, raise level 8. So,
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Hot to Trot is Order's jungler. Of course, Swiffer did get the engage that you were looking for in that fight. Tally only hits a single person with his Mega Gnar ultimate. And
He did.
You know, that's where we're at. Doesn't matter too much for him.
That was Katsuri, and he also did instantly die.
Yep.
So, yeah, doesn't need to be that big 5-man if you're getting that key target. Now the 2v2 lane has gone from bot lane to top lane to mid lane. Dream is still able to just clear out these minions as it crashes though, so it's not too bad for him. Karthus is going to rock up though and collect his tax, I imagine. And here is the Herald being dropped into mid lane. Almost certainly will get this charge off.
Yeah, we'll get the charge. There's no turret platings, though the turret should still fall just purely by the amount of numbers here. And you can see the engages there from Raze, trying to keep them away from any kind of trades. Don't let Karthus hit those Qs. Don't poke us as we go for the turret. Just secures it with a swift use of the ultimate.
Classic Shelly. Gets herself a second charge. Brings that one down to half. And yeah, that was the debt that had to be paid off of that last fight. Raze was able to secure that one by jumping over the wall.
And if you were Direwolves, your game plan right now would be to find and obliterate the Karthus. He is the target. He's been spotted.
It's like,
I
where's
mean,
Wally, but find the Karthus.
you're most likely not going to be doing it in the next odd minute while Raze doesn't have his ultimate, but if you find the moment, you find the moment. You know, if the Karthus face checks Biopanther, I feel like the Karthus still dies. Even if it's a 1-for-1, it's worth it. That's what you're looking at. You know, 900 gold into the pockets of a carry is the goal.
Panther. Onto Swiffer right here. Hits him with the ultimate. Here comes the Requiem as well.
Oh
What?
my god!
Literally what? I was like, I mean, he's gotten away. You know, Swiffer needs to hit another Q, and then that would have been it. But that was 500, 600 damage from that
night.
Requiem.
Good night, sweet prince.
All right.
He was so
Okay
young.
then.
Swiffer is still in a bit of trouble.
Yes,
I
he is.
think
Raze
that
has
much
made
is
his way to
certain.
the top lane, and yeah, he tries to get a bit of damage on get back, but Raze will be a gentleman and hold the door open for him as he walks away from that tower. So it will be a 1-for-1 overall, but that is definitely a sign to come here for Spooks, who is now 7-0-1.
Yeah. 700 gold bounty as well. We're up to 1,000 gold for killing the Karthus. Wanted posters all around Summoner's Rift right now. He is the man to beat.
He is. Akali even had Mercs on that as well, so it's not even like she was running into that trade with like 0 MR.
That's just a really scary omen for Direwolves, is what the takeaway would be. You know, all of the games this series, Spooks has found himself with kills. All
That's
of the
actually
early
true,
fights,
yeah.
all the early transactions, he's been the one cashing in. So I guess it makes sense that sooner or later they would give him the Karthus for it.
Par for the course.
You know, Karthus has been something that's been banned, however, in this series. Direwolves in the second game specifically on Red's side was when they banned it.
That's actually a great point. That's such an anomaly. The fact that like jungle gets like not even like first blood, you know, it's just like, oh, you know, like this jungle very good. There's just been like 3 kills early game every game.
It's of the first 3 kills,
Yes.
he was 100% of the
Correct.
kills. And now he is
That's
7
actually
of the
insane.
first 8.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. This is the natural evolution, and Karthus is absolutely paying off. 4 minutes until next dragon, and once again, if your order, of course, is going to be early cloud, but
And it's, you know what, it's funny because thinking about this series before it started, it's very easy to say like, how do you think Team A beats Team B? And if you're like, how does Order beat Direwolves? Often you would say, the jungler is really important for Direwolf, so being able to control the jungler is a good way to control the game.
Yeah, I think everyone points towards Raze, yeah.
Yeah, everyone looks at Raze when you think of Direwolves, but I mean, the easiest way to beat Raze is to be so fed that he can't fight you, and then invade his jungle. You know, like there is a possibility that that happens, but they haven't even gone to that extreme. They've just said give Spooks all of the money at the moment because he's going to play to kill the lanes. You know, they've got Swiffer playing utility. He's on the Lissandra right now. That very easily could be a Twisted Fate. That very easily could be the Kiana if they don't ban it. You know, and it's always going to be relevant. Bio, with the most respect I've ever seen an Akali give, just because Karthus exists.
I mean, like, in what world is a Lissandra, like, at this point in the game, able to just walk up to an Akali and be like, you're going to leave because I have Big Brother Karthus looking over me. He's going to remove 50% of your HP if you get into a trade. It just makes the flow of the game so different. Because matchups that should not work suddenly work. Nice dodge out of the Arctic prison there. Raze is actually still tanking turret, though. Ty's going to get a lot of damage on this. Off of the ramp up as well, and now he just, ooh, nice stopwatch.
One-time use only stopwatch. He may go towards the stone plate, but we'll see. I feel like Order very much aware that he had the stopwatch and should now be on cooldown because he should just be dead.
Yep.
The Karthus ultimate now off the board, however, does mean that Direwolves maybe with a little bit of respite. Oof. And saying that, Biopanther's already used his ultimate, so he has no chance to fight.
All right. Isolated lay waste, do about 400 damage, good to know. And this top tower will go down here to Order, so all outer turrets now down, but still catching up to Direwolves, who had managed to do that a little bit earlier. 2,000 gold advances to Order, and you know where that one's gone. And we are really waiting on the next objective, which will be in Infernal, coming in about 2 minutes. So gives a bit of time for people to go back to base, reset, push out these waves, and just get back into these 1v1s. But we are hitting big spikes across the board. Corky's gone back, and he went for that early Hex Drinker, actually. Has also gone for the Triforce, and is now moving towards Infinity Edge.
There is a tax you have to pay for playing against Karthus. You know, for some people it's a Zonias, for others it's a Hex Drinker. You do what you must to survive from someone that's not on the map with you, similar to the way Skarner is picked.
Tax,
you build yourself a QSS. Malzahar is picked to build yourself a QSS. It's a very similar thing. So right now, we find ourselves at a, like you mentioned, it's a lull for a minute, but it's actually the Vision game. And note that Baron is alive as well. So win a team fight, it's just going to be a Baron, not an Infernal. Direwolves are hunting.
Jake just seeing this one brings up the door. Braum will tank a lot of that damage.
And you know, a lot of this game's about lane assignments, Pulse. As it stands, if you have the Corki against the Lissandra, then Direwolves would be happy. As Tally has found his target.
In the jungle, finds get back. He Valkyries away. Raze also forces his flash out there. They hit the blast cone, and it'll just be a fadeaway culling in from Katsuri.
Yeah, I think Tally was just an angry boy and found an opportunity to throw people against a wall. So you take those if you're Order. No Karthus ultimate up, so there was no execute or follow-up, unfortunately, from Order as they were stuck in that middle lane rotating. They get there, however, and it does mean they get back some vision control.
Order very much have control over this mid portion of the map, as it is now 20 seconds towards Dragon, and Vision is already here, absolutely by Order. Got Recall actually coming in here from Biopampa. Just have a plethora of wards to choose from, though, for his teleport. Get back as well to get his, and Katsuri already has his teleport, so...
And that's the thing, right? That teleport could be a game-winning play from Direwolves, and we've seen this from them already in this series alone. That's something that is very scary that has to be thought about. And right now, this Infernal, most likely just going to be given over freely. You could see no intent from Direwolves to rush there, and they would have had to have seen or to get into the pit through the Scuttle Crab that they had. For me, it's about control the mid wave, control some kind of vision at the Baron buff, and then you actually have control of your own destiny.
And once again, some of the Cloud Dragon, of course. Order the Cloud Magnet.
Order is winning, they will have clouds.
Yep.
2 octaves of cloud cover on the Rift today.
Just kind of annoying.
Nimbus clouds as well. As it's raining death from spooks.
It is. It is. That being said, if they take this next one on cooldown, then the next one will have to not be Cloud. So we've got that going for them, which is nice. Especially with this mid wave. Yeah, just catching Raze right there. Can't slow that one out. But Biopampa is just sat in the side lane. I feel like this is just a recurring issue through like this series. You know, where Biopanther is just like everyone from Order is posturing around the area,
Yeah.
like doing something.
To a
and
point,
Biopanther's on the
though.
sideline.
Like, it's definitely true to a point. As Jake's been caught here, he should be okay. It feels like they just wanted to chunk him, but they used a lot for that. That's 3 ultimates burn, and Biopanther teleported. So it was a lot. They really wanted the fight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Triple ults down and teleport. Order. Been pretty happy with that one. What's they burn? Not a whole lot, to be honest. It was Flash from Braum.
Braum,
and
Flash, and a door.
That was it, yeah. And Unbreakable.
So that's just unfortunately really, really bad for Direwolves as the map state is concerned. Order now should be able to force their way in and get control of the Baron buff River. Mid-priority is being hard forced on them first. And Tally, who is quietly achieving as well on the side lane, similar to Biopanther, but with an easier job. Because he can just build magic resistance, and it's good against both solo laners.
Yeah.
And a Sejuani. Adaptive Helm is done, Merc Treads is done, and unfortunately the damage mix of Direwolves is not quite there to be able to stop this Gnar from scaling up in Order. They've hit the Baron.
It's been started, but Direwolves are here. It dies very quickly, of course, to the Carpus, but here comes the Wall of Pain. Swiffer in with a flank here, looking towards priority target. Spooks jumps in and just instantly dies, but now it's Requiem time, and that will just clean up 3, gets a double kill, and this is just now a wash to the side of Order, who look towards Biopanther. He tries to claim a kill in return, but it's just not going to happen. That Requiem damage was disgusting.
There's just too much damage from the Karthus. You kill him, fair enough, that's exactly what he wants, and then just stands and delivers into the face of Direwolves. Very easy teamfight victory in the end. Just good front to back, and it starts with Swiffer, who gets once again another really good flank on this Lissandra.
Oh my god, that was like maximum value Requiem. All 5 members up, and it just did perfect damage. We'll see that one again as they push up, and Swiffer gets a nice flank to start this one up.
He's on his control ward, it forces the flash in. The QSS from Katsuri Totoro also flashes away, and he's just dead. His contribution to the fight was a flash away and a W onto a Sejuani who also dies. That Requiem did like 4,000 damage across all of them, and just one hits everybody from Direwolves. That just feels so good. And he's just bought a death cap and an elixir of sorcery.
Oh my.
Oh no!
This is the biggest Carthus I've seen in a long time. Yeah, he currently has 537 AP, and then with the Sorcerer Potion, he'll have a little bit more than that, probably just getting towards the 600 mark. So, yeah, and double pennant.
He doesn't have the Baron buff, I believe, and that's the only
he does not.
unfortunate thing for him is the result of his champion being that he wants to die to continue to do damage.
Yeah.
Misses out on that extra AP boon from the buff itself. But you know what? He's got a blue.
You know,
it compensates fine.
Yeah, given that he one-tapped the entire enemy team and made it a pretty much a whitewash fight, I think he'll be okay. And Tristana comes in, see if we can get the Buster Shot execute. Not going to happen. But top tower is basically dead to right here. So Raze does open up with the ultimate. They're actually going to full commit here. Just get the knock-up, and this will be a kill onto Jake. Well played here by Direwolves, trying to upset some of that momentum, but that was a 5-man commit to top lane. Karthus is pushing mid, Gnar in the bot lane, so this is all inner turrets dead.
And that was what Direwolves wanted to achieve when they first found Jake at the enemy Raptor pit. But unfortunately, they weren't able to get it, and that's where Order against the flow get themselves the Baron, effectively win the game from it, right? But this time, Direwolves find it. They're able to get a pick. They find one onto Jake, and now that it's a 4v5, so much harder to siege the base of Direwolves. And that's all it really takes, you know, that confidence play from them again to be able to make a snap decision to take the fight is what buys them enough time to look for one more opportunity, one more chance, and that's all they're after.
It's just such an awkward champion to have there, because you can wipe Order, and then Karthus just presses the R button while dead, and then probably still kill 3 people. And you're like, all right, well, we won the team fight handily, but now we only have 2 members to do whatever we want to do, whether it's an objective or push, you know? It, like, even the uphill struggle is now even harder because of that fact.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, that's the risk of a global champion that can't miss a spell, right? That's what makes Karthus so uniquely powerful. Jake back alive, back onto the map as well, and he's here ready to make the fight. Order are going to brute force them. They're just going to stand up and say you can't have mid-prio, but Direwolves are ready.
Once again, the ultimate's onto Jake. He's just instantly dead. Tally wants to push forwards on this one. Is building up that rage meter, and Swiffer with a big flank gets the root onto 2. goes into his own ice box. Here comes the Requiem. Totoro's going to take so much damage from this one. Gets 1 kill. Backline Tally is now winning the 1 versus 2 because of that R button. And it's a 4-4-1.
And there really doesn't feel like there is anything that Direwolves can do about this. The damage has been done. The Karthus is now 10-1-7. And Order, with the Baron buff, get the team fight. 4 members down. And they should be able to utilize this Baron to just end the game.
It looks like 28 minutes, a very different game this time around. Biopam's going to head out of the base to do what he can, but Order getting those kills onto this Karthus, and he just got absolutely out of control. Ends this game 10-1-8, and Order are now only 1 win away from taking the Direwolves down in this best of 5.
And if that first victory from Order was a sigh of relief, this is momentum building coming out of them. Now 2 wins in a row. And it was not the cleanest game of League, but it was much cleaner than the last one. And that's only cause for concern for Direwolves, who now damage control time. Danger stations, they've got to bring it back as best they can into the 4th game. Because that was really terrifying to play against if you were Direwolves.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know, I feel like you just have to back Karthus, right? Like, with the way that this series specifically has been going, like, you're right, when you identified it, like, Spook's literally getting all of the kills early game, and when you're a Karthus, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, he will always get value out of his kit, like, even if you kill him.
Yeah, and for me, you know, a lot of it is like, I can see things from Order in draft. They're like testing what their opponents will do in response to certain things. And, you know, Karthus was banned from them in the 2nd game. In this game, it wasn't. Order choose to ban Xayah, and then because Direwolves first pick the Sejuani, you're like, floodgates are open. Like, this is the Karthus game. Like, let's build the composition around it. No Kiana for mid lane, doesn't matter. We'll find a champion that works, right? And it happens to be Lissandra and has been successful for them. He can play without resources if necessary. He's still a Lissandra. The same thing happens for Order. They get the leads onto the Karthus, and even without being harassed in the early game, it's even worse for Direwolves to deal with. And I agree. I think banning Karthus legitimately the only option that you have, and they should be doing similar to their game too.
Yeah, I just feel like stylistically winning that 2nd game was so important for Order, right? Like, I can easily see this being like, you know, 3 wins back-to-back now for Order for a team like this, whereas, like, if Direwolves get the first 2 games, it's a shutout, you know? Like, that's just the styles of the team. But, yeah, super interesting to see. We'll find out what happens in Game 4 very shortly, but we're going to shoot it to a highlight package, which is most likely just going to be all Karthus. Totoro getting
big fight
by this Q. Still doesn't get the stun. Actually, Dream jumps all the way in.
Karthus
Here
ult.
comes the Karthus ultimate. It's going to be a lot of damage onto Totoro. Actually, just straight finishes them
Teleports
off right
everywhere.
here. First blood to the Karthus. Katsuri has finished off as well. Great ultimate buster shot in from Dream. Biopanther tries to connect right here. Gets the perfect execution. Flips all the way back. And Jake also gets cleaned up. This is messy. A 2 for 2 all in all.
Swiffer, can he get an engage off?
This is a literal 5 versus 5. Swiffer jumps in, gets knocked back. Sees Seed, goes into the ice cooler. Herald is smited down by the Sejuani. Order trying to control this one, but Karthus cops the ultimate once again. Tally gets a nice knockback onto Katsuri, and it will be the double kill over to the Karthus. And Order just run down the rest of the Direwolves. Not a single casualty on their side. Raise over the wall. Swiffer wants him. He's
he's back into the mix.
But now he's in the middle
He got
of
it.
everybody. He just managed to pick up the Herald, the Karthus, but here comes the wall of pain. Swiffer in with a flank here. Looking towards the priority target. Spooks jumps in and just instantly dies, but now it's Requiem time. And that will just clean up 3. Gets a double kill, and this is just now a wash to the side of Order, who look towards Biopanther. He tries to claim a kill in return, but it's just not going to happen.
Map as well, and he's here ready to make the fight. Order are going to brute force them. They're just going to stand up and say you can't have mid-prio, but Direwolves are ready.
Once again, the ultimate's onto Jake. He's just instantly dead. Tally wants to push forwards on this one. Is building up that rage
Swiffer.
meter, and Swiffer with a big flank at the root onto 2. goes into his own ice box. Here comes the Requiem. Totaro's going to take so much damage from this one. Gets 1 kill. Backline tally is now winning the 1 versus 2 because of that R button.
Been done. The Karthus is now 10-1 and 7. And Order with the Baron buff get the team fight 4 members down. And they should be able to utilize this Baron to just end the game.
It looks like 28 minutes, a very different game this time around. Biopump's going to head out of the base to do what he can, but Order getting those kills onto this Karthus, he just got absolutely out of control. Ends this game 10-1 and 8, and Order are now only 1 win away from taking the Direwolves down in this best of 5.
A little goes a long way at Macca's. Enjoy a delicious small cheeseburger meal with your choice of an apple or raspberry and custard pie for just $4.
Bad baby. That was much more of a decisive spanking in game number